Well, yeah.
They had 60 minutes. They had 86 days. Spread out.
Yeah, I'm like, what is it all over again?
It's in different parts. Push, and that's not the right word. Push is not right. That's definitely special. Well, that way. We didn't talk about it.
Listen, don't let me. And whatever y'all give me the word when.
For that much. And it must have made it though. Because it's been. Oh.
Good evening. Now, 5:36, we'll call this Lawrence County Council March 14th meeting to order. You know, the invitation by Councilman Tribble, followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Lord, we assert that you created us with certain unalienable rights. One of them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We're grateful for those gifts tonight as we exercise our right to self-government. These are important blessings from you, but there are others. Make us mindful that we're created in your image. Help us to live up to your standard. Continue to bless each person in this meeting and bless the proceedings about to start. In the name of Jesus, our Christ, who stands by your side to remind you that it is his sacrifice that makes us worthy of your blessings.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Outside now. Yeah. All right. Thank you all for joining us this evening. We'll start with the approval of the agenda.
Motion approved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Brown. Thank you, Mr. Carroll. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? No, I'll call the vote. All those in favor of approving the agenda as presented, please raise your right hand. 6-0. Now, next we have approval of the minutes from the February 15th meeting. Our motion to approve February 14th minutes. Mr. Is there any additions or deletions to the minutes? And offer a vote, all those in favor of approving February 14th. Minutes, 6-0. There were no signs for public comments, we'll move into reports for council. The first is CPST update. I'll call Mr. Wilson to give us an update on the Orange County EMS medical renovations.
Good evening, council. I appreciate y'all letting me come before you and bring you an update on this. Right now, we are into renovating the whole station. We've gutted it. We've gone back now with studs. We've got our wall studs in there. Plumbing is roughed in, HVAC is roughed in, electrical's roughed in. We are, if you go by there, you'll see where we've already added the front stoop to the front of the building, and we are in the process now. They started yesterday of building, adding a side addition that will house the washer dryer, the HVAC unit, and the hot water heater. We're waiting on shower units and toiletries and all to come in. We're gonna start hanging sheetrock next week. We are about 90 days away from this being completed. And I think once you see it, you've seen it beforehand, you see it now, you'll see a drastic improvement, but you really will see a showcase whenever it's all said and done. I think they will be very proud of all that home and work. Anybody has questions or whatever?
Anybody have any questions, Mr. Wilson, on the medical and EMS renovations?
And also this coming week, next Monday, we are scheduled to meet with the general contractor. We'll be picking out colors for the roof, which will be a metal roof, and soffit exterior coverings for the walls and everything. So just cover a block with stucco. So we'll be picking those colors out next week. But other than that, everything.
Women's action at some point.
Okay, did you have any increase in the amount of monies that were necessary to complete some of those tasks?
Right now, we do not have enough to finish the bays. There was a 2-bay addition. We can go as far as pouring the concrete pad and having the footings and all there to just beam up later once we get the money, put the beams up and enclose it. But we don't have that total amount to finish that project. And we are working on right now, I informed Mr. Pastor, Mr. Higgs that, we're going to be short like most of the other ones, but we are working on a price, what it will take to finish it out to do so. Want to do it now or whatever. So, but that will be short.
Thank you for your hard work. I appreciate all you do. And next, Howard, give us an update on the
Good evening, council. I'm here, you can see the photo over here of the airport terminal that we are currently working on with the capital project sales tax. We are moving forward and we are a little behind schedule, but really not far behind schedule, about a month. We ran into some delays with some septic tank issues, and I think we've got those taken care of at this point. So far, we are moving towards a bid process, which will looking to advertise for bids at the end of this month. And we're looking for a bid opening at the end of April. So once this is moving along very well, hope to hopefully be building in June to July. And this is moved on effortlessly. The FAA grants are in. We're hoping to get more money from the FAA. We attended the
Keep doing that.
Take it.
Any county council members have any questions for Mr. Howard on the airport? Well, I'm excited for the airport. It's busier than most folks realize. We have a lot of in and outs in that airport. And to be able to provide a deal like this would be a big deal for the upstate region.
So there's always a waiting list. So it will be very, very advantageous for us to build more engines there. That's something that the FAA will not fund. We will have to fund it in-house, but we would definitely make our money back if we did invest in that. I think that's a good opportunity for the county to reinvest in our airport. We have 20 planes in the wait list in Orange County. That's recreational use and also business use. So I think it would be a good opportunity to do so.
Yeah, figures on what those additional.
Yeah. Well, absolutely, I do. We're talking in the $750,000 range for a key hanger starter setup for about 8 planes. And we're talking $1 million for a maintenance style hanger. We just recently spoke to a medical helicopter that really like to locate here along with their with their Q-Air jet, which would be really good because that would really give us the opportunity to get jet fuel, which really brings a lot more people in. And for the businesses that like bring airplanes here, who would then build their own hangar spaces. And if we did that, then really talking about it. But not really talking about a real big investment. Talking about a small investment that pays itself back in the long run. So I think if we really were to come across the opportunity, we could really make that money back very shortly.
Who are the industries that use the airport?
Well, right now we have a gentleman of Florida who flies back and forth training commercial pilots. And we also have different plane industries out of Greenville that actually choose to fly into Lawrence because they want to beat the traffic that's actually in Greenville. So they'll fly into Lawrence and get in vehicles and drive to Greenville as opposed to flying into GSP, just because the air traffic is so heavy in Greenville. Now, these are going to be your smaller industries that don't have large jets. Smaller. Our airfield is not the magical 5,000 linear feet. Ours is 4,200, but any good pilot can land on our airfield and they choose to do so quite often, just because we have a good flat runway and we have good winds and low. We have a good high fog covering, so we really have a great. So, but the industries range from small businesses to larger businesses. Some of the I couldn't say the exact names. We have quite. Well, I could tell you all their names. They're related to that. Same coming in their jets. Fun to watch.
Next, I'll call the county administrator. Stormwater improvement grant.
See all that, yeah, it's loud here. All right. I actually have some great news. Lawrence County was awarded a grant. The state received ARPA funds from the federal government. As you know, part of these ARPA funds were set aside by the state of South Carolina for stormwater mitigation and to help alleviate flooding, runoff, those types of things. And our public works director and his staff did a great job, submitted an application to State Office of Resilience, and they awarded us our full ask for that grant. The total funding is $5,173,170. And where that'll go to serve, and I'm gonna round off these numbers. 3.7 million of that is the Wattsville community. This is continual flooding that impacts about 200 homes in that area. Streets, sinkholes, those types of things. So it'll go to mitigate that area. As well as some culverts around the area to the tune of about $1.5 million. Fixing those culverts to prevent future flooding and those types of things. I mean, we hope this will be some type of continual program in the future that we can continue to expand on because there's a dramatic need across the county. The county was basically judged against its peers. We submitted a project. There's a grading system that goes into that project, and we met every aspect of that grading system with the project submitted to get our full ask. So that's a tremendous thing. Going forward with this grant, we'll have to put out some RFPAs and those type or RFQs, those types of things to get the ball rolling. But with this council's blessing, if you can task me to move forward with expending these funds and getting to work, I'll be glad to do it. I'm burning a hole in our pockets.
All right, so you need a motion to about RFQs and then award our procurement policies. That was
Correct. Everything within our current procurement policy, just hit the ground running with these projects.
I mean, I think for, $2 million, we're gonna have a pretty easy vote on this, but is there a match required from us? We need to know about.
No, sir. These are ARPA funds that we just had to meet those certain parameters and we scored very highly on the submissions.
Have another one out, one in your community.
We're gonna try to keep expanding these out. We were just, it was kind of a last minute thing and we said, where's an immediate need? And we were able to score based on they were very stringent in their qualifications on what we had to meet. It was almost kind of like a Hail Mary request. We didn't know if we were gonna get anything. We got our full ask. And anybody from the states listening, we're gonna keep asking.
That's a needed area. Very much, it's been bad up in that area for a while. And I know the ones that live in there gonna be thankful to have some kind of relief around that area. They need to pick up some of their trash.
All right, do I have a motion to authorize county administrator to RFQs and award bids on the stormwater improvement grant? So moved. By Mr. Rankin, second by Mr. Carroll. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 60. All right, moving into old business, council commission, approval of appointments, boards, commissions, and committees. The only ones we have are should be in the back of your packet. Are actually submitted to us by Mr. Chip Cooper, who is the chairman of Lawrence County Health Care Board of Trustees, with 2 nominations to fill vacancies on there. One is Ms. Ashley Tate, that will be filling an expired term for Mr. JP. The other is for Mr. Jonathan Coleman to fill the expired term of John Young. You have to vote on these. These are and all of these actually go to the delegation into the governor's office. So do I have a nomination? Nominate these 2 candidates.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we nominate the 2 persons from the healthcare system as trustees Jonathan Coleman and Ms. Ashley Tate.
All right, motion by Ms. Anderson. Second by Mr. Taylor. Is there any discussion on these? And then I'll call for a vote of confirmation. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Passes 6-0. If you will send this on to the delegation, the proper channel so they can do their part. All right, that puts us into new business. I'll call on Arno or Mr. Higgs, whichever one of y'all wants to take it.
Okay, thank you.
This falls in line with the last request that we spoke on. We do an annual audit that we heard at the last meeting. The gentleman came in and provided an audit report. We think it's good to put exactly for request for proposals on audit services. So that's again what this is to go back out and see if anybody of their field would like to submit a RFP to be considered a handle audit service.
The. Or election, do any questions, Mr. Higgs? I feel like we're going back out. I think it's been 3 or 4 years since we did this, so it'd be good to see, make sure we're one staying in line, and it's always good to have fresh set eyes on the books as well. That all being said, I'll call for a motion. Put out RFQs for the, RFPs to contract for all the services fiscal years 3, 24, 25, and 26. Carol, second by Mr. Raymond. Is there any further discussion? Here now, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 6-0. What's the timeline on getting that back?
I have, they're due April 30th. So probably that next meeting will bring them to see if you, which ones y'all want to approve.
Thank you so much. All right, that's all for new business. Up next, we have county council comments. I'll start on, all right, Mr. Rankin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Wanted to ask the county administrator if we can update on the sheriff's office proposal.
We have a committee meeting right after this for that. Another agenda.
To answer your question, yes, sir, we do.
Mr. Curtis.
That we had the local municipal elections recently. And that the voter turnout was just really surprisingly and disappointingly. Just sort of put things into perspective. Each of us on council represents about 10,000 people. City of Clinton's about 8,500. And I ran for this seat in a tested election with a strong second place finisher. I got almost 2,300 votes, and the mayor was elected with 400 votes, and that it's like 5% of the population of the city, and that I just think that we need to have a broad discussion. We'll start with our vote, obviously, but the county needs to have a broad discussion about whether that's really acceptable or not. But we need to have a different plan that is more suitable for.
Sanders.
Talking with our county administrator about the brownfield grant. We got some information from Upper Savannah, and we do have some real bad brownfield waste around, specifically, I know in Clinton, but I'm quite sure there is some in Lawrence also. And so I'm hoping that we can do a collaborative effort to try to alleviate some of that. Secondly, today, around 2:15 this afternoon, we met with the first responders met. I just went along to see who was gonna be there, and Lawrence County had a good showing. I tried to tell Nikki, I said, I didn't see you there, but the sheriff was there along with a large number of people in the fire department and also 911, so we had good representation. Because it was all emphasized around first responders. I was glad to see everybody there. Last thing is that this month is Women History Month. And I just wanted to touch on one or two things. And so I felt like I would look at the major court system and I looked at the Supreme Court, which is the top. And we have 3 women on the Supreme Court, they are associate justice. One is the only Black there, and this is Justice Katanja Brown Jackson and Associate Justice Sonia Sotomayor and Justice Elena Hagan. So we are proud of those women who serve us well on the Supreme Court. I also would like to lift up and recognize the female employees of the county. I know I appreciate the vital role that they play and the part that they play as a team player here. And the value that they bring every day to the operation of this county. And I just want to thank you for your contribution, for bringing that, whatever you bring to your department every day. And since I see out in the audience, we have some other women, and I want to touch bases with you all too, and say, I know you are some strong women and represent this county well in whatever you do. So just make sure your voice is heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Andrew.
Nothing tonight, Mr. Chairman.
I'll have a few things to echo on Ms. Anderson. Thank you for recognizing the women. Let any of us be here without them. I appreciate you. Brownfield grants, I know City of Clinton's working on one right now. Near and dear to them, well, so an economic development project. That is an area as well that hopefully that would clean up one of those old sites as well. That's great. Mr. Sherman briefly touched on elections. What Clinton has done, Lawrence is not. We do have a runoff election here in the city of Lawrence next Tuesday. I think I don't know the hours specifically, but early voting starts tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then of course 7/7 next Tuesday for runoff mayor's race. And I agree with Mr. Trouble, the vote and turnout in all elections, in my opinion, is way too low. Rough numbers, we're talking on 69,000 residents, only 44,000 are even registered to vote, and now we have turnouts like 20-something%. So hopefully folks will get out and do their civic duty and vote. I want everybody to be in prayer for the state elected officials, our state legislator. They are in the middle of budget process. I watched them last night till 11:45. They finally adjourned after doing the first part of the budget. And I imagine if they're not still in it, they just got out today. It's an interesting process to watch if you've never watched it. Much better than ours. So they get pretty deep, but also be in consideration of our budget. I know we've administrator and staff have begun meeting with department heads, and I know they'll continue that, and we'll be getting those recommendations here very soon. I was excited last Thursday that several of our fellow council members were able to attend Spotlight on Agriculture. That's always a great event. Loyal and dedicated farm folks of our community, and to see the awards they give out for the young and the old folks and the families, the way they recognize it's really a great event. If you've never been, I encourage you to go next year. And then also, most importantly, this week, where Mr. Higgs' brother into last week, and we were in prayer for you. Work through that with your family, and it's always anything you ever need. Reach out. That's all I have for this evening. There's nothing else. I will call for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Carroll. Second by Mr. Ryan. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, we do have a committee meeting here shortly. We're going to take a short recess, and then we'll
jump in that.
Thinking about.
that we have, but.
Right.
It is extremely loud.
I think it's sitting out there.
I came home. I said, I got changed.
They won't.
It's.
You got a handout, Chris.
Yeah, July.
No.
And that's. Yeah, bring it with you. Yeah, last time. That's what I need, because I wanted last week, the city meeting.
I have it somewhere, it's in the computer.
Some of them.
On that side. Okay. Okay, so you got that paper. One of those big ones.
If you eat it, story. And it's never the secret meeting. Because I said,
All right. Time is now 6:26. We'll call the committee as a whole, March 14th meeting to approval of the agenda. One item on it, for the discussion on sheriff's office pay rate.
Motion to approve.
Vice President. Second by Mr. Carroll. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? All the vote in favor, please raise your right. That's 6, right? Time has gone past me. 2-3 weeks ago, Mr. Rankin, I believe you held a public works, or public safety, excuse me, committee meeting where you addressed this issue. Would you like to give us a brief synopsis of that meeting?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So yes, we did meet, then 4 weeks ago now. The committee heard the recommendation and the proposal by the sheriff's office, and we voted to move it forward to the finance. That's how it finished.
All righty, and then the finance committee is made up of Carol and Mrs. Clark. And I guess in lieu of having a repeat meeting, Mr. Carroll and I discussed inside that committee as a whole. Be here and address and ask questions, get them answered. Instead of having 20 meetings, so accomplish that goal. So did you have any recommendation that came out of that meeting, or just waiting on some numbers from finance on the availability and whatnot?
Correct. Yeah, we authorized the county administrator to get some numbers for us, crunch some budget numbers, and get that to us when that's something.
I believe the biggest issue, Sheriff, if you want to come on up, so you can jump in, go ahead and point, or Mr. Chris, whomever. By all means, please jump in and make corrections. Say something correctly. One of the items you have on the topic over there is the gray, I'm sorry, on the far left is your current base pay for those job classes, followed by the code of the requested base pay, the sheriff's office, and then down the line, you can read each department there and their pays and the payments. Biggest thing that we're going to council as a challenge is this increase. The increase currently being requested before fringe is $14,000 shy of $1 million increase. You have friends that we're staring down at roughly 1.3 million increase currently. Problem that, keep in mind, we had a balanced budget where we're going to keep it. Moving forward, one of the things council is going to be discussing during budget is cost of living increases for the employees. CPI came in at 8%. So that's another increase we're going to have now. Be at 8.1, be at 2.1, where it'll end up, but that's another increase over last year. We're going to have to look at. This one did run the numbers on revenues, and we are tracking last year. $800,000, which is just over 10%. And probably revenue collection, so that's a positive. But even that's year to date. But if we add that 10% to the total value, still in theory couldn't cover this base that's being asked right now at the moment, before fringe, before CPI. So we got some discussion to have and some decisions to make at some point. We're still gathering numbers, making sure they're accurate. Sheriff, do you want to jump in at any point or?
I just wanted to make mention, because the 983 that you just referenced does not include the 253,537 that would also be going to animal.
Yeah,
So another total has to be. Well,
And that's the total, the difference is 51.
oh, I see, okay.
Yeah,
I got
that's still another, that'd be another 50,000 plus grand. 65,000. We're still 1.3.
I guess my question is, you say, y'all, I mean, I know you, some of y'all have this road. And y'all looked at it, chewed on it. Y'all have anything that y'all could, and me, to let me look at, see what y'all think would be the best, so to speak, the best job to do, or would be feasible, and y'all,
I'm super close to actually being able to do that. That's what I wanted to do. And so I just have a question on the submission so that I know how to get mine right. The proposed base pay. That's lit. Do you have that do you have this in front of you? No.
So that's what we got.
That way we're talking about the same thing. Yeah. It's probably grayed out, but it says proposed base pay. That would be, I'm just trying to get clarification, is that the entry level now, if someone comes to your department new and that's what they would be offered?
certified.
Certified, yeah. Well, I'm talking about all that I'm looking
Oh.
at, every single different position, is that the new starting?
You're asking me, is that what we propose?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be the new starting, and then the number on the papers behind you, if you'll look at the far right, there are numbers that would be the proposed starting salaries of existing employees. So you have 22, 23 salary, and then to the far right, you have what that person would go to. When that number was figured, how did we arrive at that number? Did it include longevity? Did it take the base that you were doing and then add their longevity? How do we get to that number?
Nikki,
That wouldn't include.
Nikki. Come here real quick. First you're on your phone, now you're listening. We're gonna do it.
Deal with everything.
Just to make sure, because I vaguely remember us having this discussion. Before you had the last meeting, you bring this sheet. If I remember right now, the longevity capped at 15 years, I believe. Yeah, okay. So that's base plus 1% a year, which is what we do. Longevity capped at 15 years. And that's time and grade, not time employed.
Right. Okay, so then I just need a couple more numbers to finish mine. I need to know where everybody sits in grade, like how many years they have. So that I can do a calculation and give it to you to see if that's
I thought you had a column. I don't see it on this list, Nikki, but that original spreadsheet.
They certified.
No, it's time and grade. You had time and position on one spreadsheet.
the column that got shrunk down.
It wasn't in the final one. Chris sent it.
We've got one that's got years of experience with this.
Well, I've got years of experience. Oh, you mean, I
We need
mean,
time and
years
grade.
with Lawrence, time and
Time
grade.
and grade, because even if you move from a sergeant to a lieutenant, it would adjust your time and grade on paper, they want to pay. So.
Still my time they held the rank, they held the rank.
Yes, yes. Well, cool. Yeah, that's perfect. I just, in order to give a good, so that we know what number we're actually gonna pay the employee based on when we put it into the payroll system, I need to know, so that when we do the calculation, we know exactly what we're looking at. And, I know in our last meeting, that's the proposed base that's there, or the proposed salary, the far right hand would be as comparable as you want to be. That would be everything you wanted if you could have everything you wanted,
Well,
right?
that's the good, actually, that we did, that was, she did policy. The pay grade, the pay grade.
So the proposed base,
Well, the rest is like, say 65, no, that's gonna be it for one of, like, say, it's green for is.
so what's in grades of midpoint is one policy.
Sure.
The grade out portion on that paper you're looking at,
That, those,
those
those,
bids,
those were,
so that's the midpoint of others, where we would be and above other bases, you're saying.
no, well, just like, for instance, master deputy, say a master deputy, it doesn't mean maybe make it 60, probably make it more than that, it's just, that's a good point, his grade, he's been there long enough to be a master deputy and make it more. He has a great deal farther than a midpoint.
Which is why I need to know where if you're hiring somebody in at the base level, they've got just enough experience to get to the master deputy level, and we start that at 60. It looks like comparables of, say, Greenville and Spartanburg are less than 60 or right at 60. So we would be exactly comparable with Greenville and Spartanburg if we put the base pay at 60. And we would eclipse some local municipalities by $12,000-13,000.
My understanding is we speak, I mean, I agree with six release, I know it's a constant climate ladder. So to me, it makes what it's just, he's here, he's shooting there, and tomorrow he's there, just try to be realistic. Instead of trying to keep it so. I
Totally agree. I'm just trying to see what the ask was so that I can put it in. Well, I think the question to me or to us was, do we have something to present to you to look at? And I almost do, except I need that last piece to make that, yeah.
Two, I mean, I'd like to have a discussion. You share everything that's out here. And get we move up today, somebody else moves up tomorrow. But if you're shooting for the midpoint, with these numbers you gave us, the midpoint for us is 15 years is what gets you to the midpoint in our pay bands. And if we're gonna do base pay plus longevity up to the midpoint, basically, I think we need to take a harder look at the base for those titles, not the midpoint.
Well, then you're not gonna move the needle.
Okay?
That's what, I mean. Y'all, I know y'all all got the time to utilize whatever, but I mean, that's what, we've been kind of going through the motions here. It's myself, your business here, we're going through the motion, and y'all progressively help, and I appreciate it, but we're not gonna move the needle any if that's the case. I mean, because as I say, Greenwood's fixing to pull the trigger on another one, I called the other day, so we're still gonna be, and we're still competing. Or it's because we sit the people bring the spot where it's all we did. Or rather than you area bring it.
Yeah, I mean, the current, where we are with our current base is very similar to what Greenwood is now.
Right.
So they're gonna move and we're gonna move as well. I mean, obviously, that's what we're talking about right now. But I was just trying to figure out if your base was included, if y'all were figuring in some of that
To
longevity.
be fair, and make sense, we should have had the timing rate on it.
Yeah, that's not a knock. I was just needing it.
But I know that it would help y'all understand, but Well, I think we can go to the office and find good man, y'all will sit on.
So I'll give you an example, since we're using a master deputy. 60,000 was chosen as the midpoint. It would put base pay of master deputy at $52,000. Which, looking across the board, Lawrence at 48, Clinton at 51, Newberry at 54, Newberry County is at 40. Greenville jumps to 58.
So you say a master deputy,
Master, so the 60,000 you have down here is the base. If that was actually midpoint, you would. It'll put base right at 52,000.
you ever see these other places bring certified deputies in 54, 54A?
That's not what the sheets tell us. Master deputy is what, I'm looking at master deputy.
Right.
So Lawrence PD, 48,000. Clinton PD, 51,700. Newberry City, 42. Newberry County, 43,600.
See, once again, I know that we look at this lady cows go home, but there's no perspective. And I tell the sheriff all the standing. They do a hard job and they work. The point is the workload. Newberry does not do the workload. I was told of it, let the sheriff's office do not. Their jails are small. They do not have the workload that these guys work.
Right,
It's
and
just
at
so-
52,000, we'd be $9,000 over them.
Oh. Don't. So. If these deputies in this county make $9,000 more. Competitively speaking in this world, and I don't see what that's wrong. Because once again, we're trying to compare ourselves apples to oranges. As far as pay scale and as far as the draw between Greenville and Spartanburg. And the reason I use those, we've always been asked to use like Greenwood and Newberry. And it's just not, trying to stay close to them is what creates such a big.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying about Newberry. Let me ask that question about Greenwood. Are we not kind of similar to Greenwood? And
We are very similar, but I'm telling you, as far as call volume, as far as, I don't know the case, I know the case is not eighty, I don't know. But the bottom line is, look where they're geographically located for deputies. We got guys that live in this county working around for them. I don't know how many they have, but they're just not located the same. But yes.
yeah, I am not pushing back against your ask. I'm just trying to figure out how we got there. So
And that's the reason I say Greenville Spartanburg is because I know that, and just like these guys behind me, they're people that have contacted us. They like to come, so they talk to us and they see the salary and then they just back up. They got family fee, they crazy, some.
So, okay, if we're just talking about master deputy and
Well, the reason I use that midpoint, most of the guys we hire coming in as a road guy, deputy, master deputy, that's the more experienced guys, got a little time, so. If you guys come in, like I said, they fit in, we're in a spot road, 54, 4, somewhere around.
so look on the first page in the far left column, the far right, and look down at a master deputy 2. So within that, 5 or 6 or 7 of them, there's about 4 different numbers. We don't have to call any names or anything, but just within that. So it looks like the lowest would be 60. So that's the new base. And there are some who are higher, like 163. How did you arrive at that 63? Logic. Okay, so it's based on that timing grade.
As a matter of fact, in the past, since I've been here, they put a timer through when I was going to maybe change somebody's grade or position, and they wouldn't let me bring it down because they say longevity wouldn't let me do it. So I mean, that plays into some of it.
Sure. I was just seeing how we got there, and that makes good sense. So as soon as
That's 5 years. Great.
So as soon as, I get those numbers, then I'll be good to go to give you a recommendation. And could I ask, and you may not know this, but we're talking because we spoke about it. Greenwood's preparing to do something. Are they doing it at budget time or before budget time?
I know that's an ongoing thing, especially a lot of them. That's where you have to keep cutting so close.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So I see these vacant positions. Sheriff, how many vacant positions do we have? And how many do we have 2 years ago?
About 2 years ago.
I mean, are there more or are there less? I'm sure.
There's less now than there was.
There are fewer vacant positions.
Oh, there's more vacant positions now.
You may not have this answer right off the top of your head, or you may. How many FTE headcounts? Are we at 84 or 88?
You really want.
84 employees or 88?
Oh, that'd be 88. I don't know exactly. 88.
It is 88.
So to share the other thing, looking council as we consider all this, if we made this jump, requested jump, you're looking at for 2022 to 2024, so 2 years. It'd be a 64% increase just in salary line, not counting fringe, or guns, bulletproof vests, cars, all the above, because all that has to come to visit. I'm saying you don't keep that kind of stuff on hand. You buy it as you get it in there.
Thought, you know, that what we're looking at is what our payroll is going to be under two different circumstances. If we raise, I mean, part of the purpose of this is to attract and retain. I'm talking about this at every time. I know I get to say that, but the purpose of the compensation plan is to attract and retain employees of the skill levels that we need. If we are successful at this and we attract and retain 10 of those 12 positions, we're going to have to be paying the payroll for 10 more people. So there's another, and again, just trying to get.
Yes, I understand, and that's my whole fear. We need those 10 people desperately because you're not going to be able to sustain it. Because all we do is, it's coming, and I know this is not y'all's fault, but this is a result of a lot of years of things we should have taken bigger steps. And now I realize we get to the bowling point or the breaking point. That's what I'm saying.
Channel one for the fall shows that guys, I said this relative to EMS, that there were 10 positions open in EMS when I left the council 10 years ago, and there were 10 positions open when I got back, and that out of that number, when you have 10 open, it tells a businessman that he's not paying market rates. And I mean, that's what tells you that. You can look at all these spreadsheets you want to look at, but if you can't attract and retain, then you got to look at that. But I'm just saying that the number is even bigger than what you're looking at there, because you're going to have 10 more people on the payroll if we're successful.
Yeah, and just the commenting figures up there now, that does include the vacant positions as well. We are calculating that in the big number.
Good, thank you.
As we look at this, it's easy to look at the numbers and see where we should be paying, but as council, we're going to also have to consider and look at revenues to be able to cover this in the budget moving forward. Due to the vacancies and the salaries that haven't been expended because of the vacancies, we have room in this year's budget to consider this for the remaining of the current budget year. But like, kind of like you mentioned, when we hit July 1, now we got more on the payroll plus 64% increase on top of that, and making sure we have the revenues to cover that is vitally important before we make a decision, because we can't do it for 3 months and then go backwards. But,
Chairman, thought as well, you mentioned at the beginning of this committee meeting that there was year to date a 10% increase in property tax.
correct.
Do we have a dollar?
That's only over 800,000. If you want, just real quick, here's what we have. Year to date, property tax collections on, real property, so this isn't everything, and we've got this, the tax you pay on your house. Yeah, so just looking at current real estate market. Year to date, we are at 7,887,388. Last year, this time we were at 7,056,000. Vehicles tracking the same occurrence, 1 million. This is in the February, by the way. $1,193,020. Last year was $1,073,260.
Sounds like this one issue was the time to move on.
Yeah, we're definitely need the years of our years in. Trailer companies, I'd be glad that they would give us that. I'm just being used as the base pay, really to get them that. You bring up briefly, when you came back as a paramedic, we had a similar problem where all the staff positions were full, less paramedics. We might have had a floating EMT or here and there, but you know, we were staff, less paramedics. Ugly. And with help of EMS staff and finance, we prepared a neighboring county to move around and made a decision to increase paramedic pay to get them where it's more adequate with the market. And to this day, EMS has remained staff. Having one go here and come back, you know, it floats with 1 or 2 vacancies, but in general, they're at capacity with application waiting. One of the things we'll look at here, all the vacancies, less 1 or 2 are in road patrol. All of them. Have 1 investigator, 1 lieutenant vacant, what I saw, sheriff. Yeah, lieutenant 2 and investigator. Everything else is in master deputies, regular deputies, road deputies. Nine.
Road deputy, that's bad, I'm concerned. With road deputy.
What's the UP stand for? Union Control. Deputy control, and then you got judicial, that's the one county. But all of the UPs are deputies.
You have a master deputy for your road patrol?
There's one somewhere, and there's even service and tenants. And I mean, like I said, now you would kind of departments, you got your road patrol, you got your investigation, you got your detectives, you got your detention center. They're kind of departments on the sheriff, just like we have roads and bridges, building grounds. It's just different departments underneath the sheriff. And when I'm and if the road patrol is the problem, Finland, that's where we need to focus. in the immediate. In the pay scale, get them where they need to go, but the sheriff has a full seating to go as possible, and we're not spending money for that. But when we make the decision, he can go out immediately after. Positions, that would be the goal, getting them fully staffed. Then there's the other positions that we do that on the list. It's not all the steps. And when I say road patrol, I mean just the deputies here, you see vacant. I do believe we would have to consider all the levels of that patrol. So you got deputies, first class, master, sergeant, lieutenant. You have to consider all of them that are on road. Now that means investigation to say what they have. Lieutenants and road patrol would go, and I know I'm going to hear that it's a cost factor over there, and we can't do that, but it's the same thing we have with EMS, the same way we address with EMS. In the immediate, I feel that's the way to go, and then addressing everybody.
I'm inclined to agree with you, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah, okay. Let's just talk about the merits of that. If this was November or December, I might be inclined to think something like that, but we're already in March, in 2 weeks it'll be April. That leaves 90 days left in this budget year. If we're already going to be figuring out what the other deputies and investigators and captains, lieutenants, and sergeants are going to be making, and we're only talking about 90 days, if we're going to get it right, I think it would be demoralizing, a demotivator to take a certain subset of the group and give them an increase, because I don't know that you'll hire 15 deputies. Even if we turn this on tomorrow, you're not going to hire them tomorrow. So for a period of time, you will have that kind of class warfare, and it'll be, well, we're not valued enough or something like that. We're only talking about 9 days. If we implement it, it's not going to be that expensive, and there's probably capacity in their current budget year with the openings to be able to cover it within. So I think whatever we decide to do next budget year, within the next, 60 days, we'll be done with budget or try to get closer to looking at a real budget. We should apply it to everybody and cut out that problem. We should look at what it's really going to cost if we do something for everybody starting in July. There would be the real actual cost, and then the 90-day cost of paying the increase for the existing non-road deputies would be negligible, and it would be probably the way to go. But I don't discount what you're saying. It's perfectly reasonable if we had 6-8 months to go in the budget and we're doing something. It's almost done. I just think we get the number, we look at what we really need to do and apply it to everything. That's my opinion, it's one guy. But it would make it very difficult on payroll and accounting to go and pick those certain people out, increase them, and then go back and do the same change.
Let me point out one thing, if you do a change now, you're gonna have to amend the existing budget, which is 3 readings of public hearing. Eat up.
We shouldn't. There's a snuff surplus in the salary line item. Any increases by more than
Amend the budget.
because it would not run that line item. But resolution to change pay would be sufficient.
We could operate, not trying to speak out of school, I'm not an attorney, but we could all operate within our existing budget and not go over what we had allocated for their department if we make that change.
And also, in that picture, it's just like I have transport guys to go get these guys. They go to New York, Florida, bring these guys back. They're out there working all the time. The lieutenant for the investigation, he's at it. So it will sort of crumble in there. And I appreciate he's trying to get together, but it will create some animosity. That for these guys, we're working right along the side of them, they won't be. Got to work, not exactly one big ball.
I'd love to hear comments, opinions from my fellow council members. Hey, Harrison Court. Keep in that the duties of board of the Mayor and Acting Deputy. Is there any input at all? Number thing.
And I'd like to say that I'd love to see all the numbers approved at this, but I think, you know, it comes down to what can we afford on this council and what do we have available resource wise. And I think hash that out already. And you know, we're still working on some numbers and stuff, but the number is pretty astronomical. So I guess Mr. Patterson, we were saying as far as, you know, addressing part of the problem now, which may cause some crashing animosity in the department, but
It's a fair argument, but it's also, it creates, and you would also, if you have to spinning around the clock, you doing the same job, but because he classified on a shift or rotate shift. Pick this expedite this guy in New York and you out there pulling the same times. You make it all of a sudden a whole lot more. It does create. So all of a sudden, how do you hold on? He's gonna leave. So you just springing leaks if you're trying to. I mean, my understanding was if you pick part of it now and part of it later, and it does make sense. I assumed I'd rather hold off if you could do it all at one time. And I mean, I appreciate the urgency, but if we can fix it all at once, it does make it. This headache me out.
Like to see when you give him the information regarding the year and the grade. And I like to have an opportunity to look at the information you have so I can understand exactly what is being asked here. But I had to have all that before and look at it before I would want to say anything about it at all. But I also I'm looking at the county as a whole. I think we need to be looking at what the future needs of the counties are, what the future needs are, in that we are growing and building all these apartments and stuff like that. So we're gonna need other employees in other departments. And I don't think I just don't like to look at one thing and balance everybody else. We need to be looking at the code people, they need more people, the EMS need more people. And I would like to see how many people do we really need before I just say, I agree with everything that, you know, the sheriff said. The sheriff is real good to me today. I want y'all to know.
All right. If you don't replace the police, those other people blame them because it's location.
It's coming here.
He really laid it on thick. But he's okay. But I'm a person, I have to look at the problem as a whole and not as a part. I believe all parts are put together and they have to make a whole. And the sheriff department is only a part of this circle. The EMS, the other departments make a difference also. And I really feel like we are in for some changes and we have to make sure that we're looking at the future needs of the county and assimilate all of them together and come up with what's gonna work for everybody. I have to have all that information before I can really say anything about that.
That's one of the things that I've been about too, the numbers and the totality, because it affects the whole. Granted, sheriff, I mean, your budget is the large majority of the county budget.
We do the proposed jobs, yeah. But it goes hand in hand.
You do a lot.
Oh, we do the largest job in the county. It goes hand in hand.
Just preliminary numbers, I think I heard in passing, so or gave the issue. West, which the administrator hasn't sent down to the department, has been cut budget yet, but I think we're looking just with CPI in addition to O&M requests that have been made, we're around $3.5 million over last year. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
That's without this other 1.3 million that's being asked, so you put that in there.
No, that's.
It includes the sheriff's request on this page or just the CPI?
Which page are you looking at?
Uh,
Oh, it includes what they put in for their budgets.
So that might be included in it, but even regardless, that's a $3.5 million increase over last year, and we're only be looking at maybe a 1.5 or so increase in revenue. We're gonna have to. Yes. And then we're getting really based on the year of last year, that's.
Sure, the number on the far right side, at the total, the 5,043,000, is that what was submitted for to the budget? Is that what you're operating on? Okay,
That does include that, so that's. Great, but that's.
yeah, it's good, yeah.
So we're still going to shave and. 2.5. Somebody got a magic crystal ball.
So these are preliminary numbers.
Spring.
Just to kind of brief council. Very aggressive, Ms. Martin, I throw something at you, but our goal is to have the budget wrapped up from the staff perspective by mid-April at the latest. So y'all can go ahead and start digesting it and we can have it short up. in June.
The reason I asked you about the number 84 or 88, the list that I had here, when I calculated, it's based off 84 people, 84 openings. That 5,043,471 is 84. So is it 88? Because then the number is going to be.
No, the 5 million is what you gave me. And I added 4 to it because you had 84 last year, you asked for 4 more, that makes you 88.
They're requesting for more of this budget.
No, last year.
Like 5,263.
I only had the 5 million, what they gave me, but I came up with those numbers that I gave you. That was before.
Jeff, what's you done a lot of work on that spreadsheet there, and you get myself to look at it once we get all the data and enter into it. What kind of timeline do you think to reconvene to continue discussion with?
Soon. Council as a whole, or just.
Council as a whole, so we all are aware of that. Any objection to that?
Council's whole thing, the vote on it all anyway, so.
She said, I understand.
When he said,
I'm just saying, Chad, you're a good guy.
I understand.
Tuesday is election day. They'll be using this room. Tuesday, the 21st, and the
You want to meet earlier in the day or you want to?
5:30 would be good for me.
any objection to 5:30? Make sure you vote before you come. May or may not be out by then. My bad.
But we have citizens and others that come to me.
Seven.
We do 6, yeah, whatever it's called is 6, there's actually a ribbon. 6 p.m.
There's a need that morning. I don't know which way.
Do want to, you got your set up. Two things, one, everybody has one of these, turn it back into the clerk. Their names on here, salaries and 50,000. I know 50 is probably gonna pay them, there's plenty in there, they're not, so they are. This way. Anything that's sent out, I ask you to block out the names, time and grade, all that stuff's fine. Any other discussion, questions for the sheriff's department? Before we adjourn this. Council comments, again, anybody else, any blue?
None.
Struggle. Honest. Sam.
I think I mentioned the one when we just got, so, I'm good now.
All right. I'm good. I appreciate you working with the sheriff and answering questions for all of us, so that we can, try to get to the bottom of it, and Jeff, I thank you for your kind of effort you've already put in for the being able to review that as we move forward. Y'all get those numbers back, have as soon as possible, and the, kind of grade, that'll be extremely helpful for us to move this fall on down the road and come up with a solution. That's the biggest thing here. I want to find a solution. Needed, obviously, based on the vacancies. We need to make a decision. Just, thank you, Sheriff. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
That's what that's ranking. Carol.
Great.